Arg, avast mateys, and welcome back to Out of the Park Baseball 25. We are the Pittsburgh Pirates, and we be Captain Jack Sparrow, trying to win the division. We just came off of a terrible 6-game stint where we only won 2 games. Not very good. We also lost Jack Suwinski for about 2 months, so we had to call up Josh Palacios. And we are now in the thick of it. We're about 10% into the season. I thought we would take a look at how our hitters are doing. Clearly, O'Neal Cruz is carrying the team right now. 4 home runs and a .328 batting average with a nice and healthy 1.064 OPS. Rowdy Tellez has had some clutch hits for us. Is looking pretty good, as is Henry Davis. Brian Reynolds is doing okay, batting .254, along with Brian Hayes. I'll put him in the okay section there. Eddie Olivares looking decent, as well as Andrew McCutchen, not providing a lot of large value, but keeping the batting average at least respectable. McCutchen with the 10 RBIs, probably his biggest contribution to the team thus far. Nick Gonzalez kind of playing on the fringe right now. We might call Ji Hwan Bae up, or one of our other guys, maybe Paguero or something, somewhat of that nature, to see if they can spell him for a little bit at second base. Might even give Jared Triolo some opportunity to play some shortstop or something like that. I don't know. I thought he was second base eligible, but apparently I'm just an idiot. So in the wake of losing Jack Suwinski in our last game, we've shooken up our lineups a little bit here. I'm going to switch that just ever so gently. We've put Palacios in center field in both situations, and I've just kind of dozied things around just a little. We have Connor Joe as our everyday first baseman against left-handers, and Henry Davis is our everyday catcher against left-handers. On the other side, Yasmani Grandal and Rowdy Tellez at those 2 positions, but they do have some switch off there. If you look here, it's every 3rd game for Henry Davis and every 6th game for Jake Lamb here, and at left-hander every 3rd game for Rowdy Tellez, every other game for Yasmani Grandal. If Henry Davis continues to play well, we'll see less and less of Grandal as the season goes. One thing I did want to check in really quickly is see how our hitters are doing at the minor league level. So take a look here at Indianapolis and just see if anything stands out for us. It looks like no one's hitting with much power, but we do have a lot of guys hitting for good batting average, specifically Kanan Smith-Njigba. If I'm butchering that name, please let me know, any Pirates fans out there. Ji Hwan Bae, another guy that's doing okay. Matt Gorski, I'd like to see more power out of a guy like Gorski. But right now, I would guess no one's standing out, but no one's looking terrible, with the exception of, I guess, Jason DeLay, who looks like his career as a Pittsburgh Pirates catcher are probably on the out and out. Going down to Altoona here. No one really jumping off the page as far as their production through 10 games. Looks like the best guy we have going for us is Song Che Cheng. Hitting just over 280 with 2 home runs, and then down at A+, which is where we have Tamar Johnson, trying to see if anyone stands out down there, specifically Tamar Johnson, and it doesn't look like anyone is. Tamar Johnson is the best player. I have been reading in the forums that the lower leagues, for whatever reason, are doing particularly terrible in this iteration of Out of the Park Baseball, so it might be something where we're possibly calling Tamar Johnson up to AA ball just to not completely stunt his growth in case there is some kind of weird bug in the game. Really quickly, if I switch over to pitching and take a look, Solometto's doing terrible, Bubba Chandler's doing terrible, everyone's doing terrible. So again, could be that weird bug that everyone's been talking about, but I'm not going to stop this series just because of that. Again, I might just move Solometto and Chandler up to prevent any further damage if I can avoid that. At AA, Paul Skeens, who we looked at the end of last series, was looking great through 2 games, as is Jared Jones. And Quinn Priester has not pitched a game yet. Or I guess he has. Oh, he was pitching in AAA and doing terrible, so he got called down to AA. That's why he's not pitching a game yet. And up at the AAA level, looks like nothing really Everyone's doing pretty bad there. Not surprising. So, last but not least, let's check out our starters here. And last I checked, everyone was doing pretty terrible. Marco Gonzalez and Contreras doing passable, I guess, but considering no one has an ERA sub of 4.7 right now, this is a dire situation. Our bullpen looking equally terrible. Only David Bednar and Bailey Falter look like they are even pro pitchers for us right now. So this is a bad situation. We're going to hopefully resolve that. I'm going to play this game at New York against Jose Quintana. We're going to have Mitch Keller pitching for us in this one. Let's give this a go and see how we do as we continue getting abused by the National League East here. On paper, it looks like I'd give the slight edge to the Mets in this one. In the pitching department, especially, it looks like Quintana's having a good season so far, and I think we are, on paper, worse against lefties than we would be against righties. So let's see how we do. We usually have pretty good results when we play the games as opposed to simming them. Simming seems to be extremely terrible for us. So let's see how this goes. On the road again. We've been looking pretty good when we're at home. The road game's a little shakier, but this will be an interesting one for sure. Probably one of the truer tests of our mettle. It's a team that I think on paper we should lose to, but in my heart I think we should be beating. Leadoff fly out to start the game, and then O'Neal Cruz looking, and Andrew McCutcheon in the 3-hole. Hits that. I think it's going to go through, and it does. Might be an opportunity to try and steal a base here, but Nito does have a good arm, and Quintana is a lefty. So I'll just have Connor Joe swing away, and it looks like he's going to ground out to end top of the first. All right, so Mitch Keller's had 2 bad performances in simulations, but he was good in our home, or not our home opener, but our opening day game against Miami when we played the game. So I'm hoping to get a similar result here. And starts things off with a fly out to Starling Marte. Francisco Lindor is on fire, even though he's hitting .204, so he must have had a terrible start to the season. And that is a home run. So he's still on fire. Coming off of, I believe he was the Silver Slugger for shortstops in the National League last year. That's home run number 5 for him. Brandon Nimmo also has 4. And that will go through for a single. Things are looking bad in the first inning for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Jeff McNeil opposite field, and I think Brian Reynolds got that. Actually, it's Olivares out there. Brian Reynolds is sitting today. Connor Joe is out and right. Triolo over at third. A rest day for a lot of guys. I think Brian Hayes and Brian Reynolds are both on the slightly tired side, so I think our AI manager gave them a break today. So Quintana gives up a lead off single there. Nick Gonzalez over at first, and Palacios. See what he can do. I think that's going to be another single, and now we have 2 men on base, no outs. Good start to the inning. Let's see. Oh, wow. So Nick Gonzalez actually challenged that. I wish the camera would better position for stuff like that. That's something you guys can work on for OOTP 26, I guess. So many things like that just come completely out of left field. Speaking out of left field, looks like we're going to have a challenge at the plate. And it did not look deep enough to me, and it wasn't. Apparently there was no challenge at the plate. Nick Gonzalez just stood put. Yasmani Grandal, it'd be terrible to have a guy on third with no outs and not get him in. Grandal draws the walk, so we got to make sure Triolo does not ground into a double play here. It looks like it's going to be a shallow right for this one. Marte will throw to the cutoff man. Gonzalez did not challenge going home, and that's 2 flyouts now with a man at third and nothing to show for it, which is disappointing. Olivares is going to ground out, and that will end the inning. So we did a little bit of damage, but we get nothing out of it. So all things considered, very disappointing top of the second. Keller back on the mound for the bottom of the second, and he gets a strikeout on a wild pitch there. Dong Hyuk Lee. It's a pretty cool name. I think I was reading somewhere that there are strange names for some of the Korean guys due to some licensing issues. I'm going to double check this. I think this might be Ji-Man Choi. And this is Ji-Man Choi, I'm almost positive, with the Pittsburgh and San Diego lines there in Tampa Bay. The reason I mentioned that is because Ji-Man Choi is, I mentioned a while ago that I did a 30-year run as the Seattle Mariners, I think starting with OOTP 15 or 14 or something around there. And Ji-Man Choi was actually one of my really big breakthrough performers for Seattle. He didn't ride the whole wave of my dynasty level, but he was one of the first guys that I think was really a guy that took me to the next level in that franchise. So he'll always have a special place in my heart. And he's just so lovable on the field. So Mitch Keller gets out of some danger in the bottom of the second. We'll start with O'Neal Cruz striking out, looking again. It's twice now. Andrew McCutchen. Looks like that's going to be a single for him, which I think makes him 2 for 2. And with Connor Joe up, strikes out with a check swing. Looks like he went around. Got to have a little bit of better plate discipline there. Nick Gonzalez, I think he had a hit in his last at bat. That looks like it's going to be an out. And Brandon Nimmo gets it. 1 hit, but nothing doing. And through 3, we have more hits, but less runs than the New York Mets. Sorry, not through 3. That was through 2.5. Bottom of the third coming up. Keller puts 1 away to start the inning. Francisco Lindor belted 1 in his first at bat. And that is the complete opposite of belting 1, but he does get on base. So, defying all laws of physics with that one. And I had said, I think in some earlier videos, that the ball seemed to be moving a little bit more normal in this version of Out of the Park Baseball compared to 24, from what I had noticed, and I'm noticing that that might not be as accurate as I once had originally stated, so if you bought the game because of that comment earlier, I apologize. But I promise you it's not a deal breaker. 2 outs, Lindor's made it over to third base. Jeff McNeil gets hit by a pitch. I guess that's better because now we're pitching to Alvarez, and he will strike out looking. So Keller escapes a jam for the second time today. I guess the first time he was in a jam, he did not escape. He did give up a run. Palacios, I believe that's who's up right there. Another single. Now he's 2 for 2 at the pro level this year, hitting 1,000. Gotta love that. Rowdy Tellez, that is going to drop in, and I think he'll advance Palacios over to third, and apparently what I think does not matter. Palacios stays put at second. Yasmani Grandal up. Man at first and second, no outs. 2-strike count, and that'll be 3 strikes to go home. Jared Triolo up now, who's had a pretty poor season so far, coming off the bench. That's a strikeout. Eddie Olivares grounds out to short. Ooh, an error. I think everyone's going to be safe. So yeah, that will be an error, and hopefully O'Neal Cruz can do something more than look at strike 3. And he does. That's a grand slam. Holy moly. Let's go Bucks. O'Neal Cruz keeping things alive, and now we are up 3 runs thanks to our hands-down best player of the year, and he's made it through 16 games uninjured, so he's already doing better than he did last year. Gotta love to see that. And as I've said in many videos before, our team is going to be all about Paul Skeens, O'Neal Cruz, and Key Brian Hayes, with a little bit of Brian Reynolds, and then we're just going to build around that core right there. So Quintana does strike out his last batter, but he did give up 4. So we've broken through. Hopefully Mitch Keller can hang on here. Starts the inning with a strikeout. And then gives up a home run to the G-Man. Dong Hyuk Lee, also known as G-Man Choi, Oppo Field homer. Cuts the lead in the third. It's now 4-2. Kelly with a strikeout. That is going to be strikeout number 6 for him in this game. He's looking good in that department, getting swings and misses. But he has given up 2 very bad hits, which have led to the only 2 runs for the Mets in this game. Connor Joe hasn't had a good game thus far, and he continues striking out to start off the top of the 5th. Nick Gonzalez to follow him, and with a 0-0 count. Oh, I'm not sure what just happened right there. Let's see if I can go to the game log. Apparently nothing. I hit at bat, and then something weird happened. Oh, I guess we're having a rain delay. So we had a rain delay, which I think is going to mess up some of the pitcher's stamina. And it made Nick Gonzalez hit the ball a lot better. That's going to be a double off the wall into the gap opposite field. I think it's going to be a double, and it is a double. Gotta love to see that. Because of the rain delay, I'm not 100% sure how long that lasted, but I am just going to get someone, I guess Brent Honeywell, I'll get him going, just in case Keller comes out and is tired. And I'm not 100% sure how long the rain delay was for. Rowdy Tellez up with 2 outs and a man in scoring position, and that should be an RBI single. So a couple little bloop hits for Rowdy Tellez. Very antithetical to the way he usually hits the ball. But gotta love to see that, and we're back up by 3 runs again with Yasmani Grandal hitting. That's going to be close. I think it's an out, and it is. Doesn't even make the warning track, so what do I know? But the inning is over, and we've brought the lead back to 3. Mitch Keller's up. I'm going to put Honeywell back down again. I think he's still on pace. That is going to be, woof, I think that might be a home run. It is a terrible view, but, oh, wow, a leaping grab at the wall by Connor Joe. Again, out of the park team, fix those angles, because I just saw a guy sitting in his seat that whole time. Pitch to Lindor, and he's feeling mighty good today. Looks like that went in for a double. Wow. Would have thought that would have been a single, but Lindor is feisty. Brandon Nimmo is up. McNeil is on deck injured with a righty after him, so I'm actually going to go ahead and intentionally walk Nimmo here. Kind of stupid because I do put the tying run up at the plate, but I think it'll work out, and it totally does not. I mean, doesn't not work out. They do score a run, though. Didn't do much more damage than that. Alvarez up here, and that's a strikeout. Brett Batty up. In the last game I was playing in Out of the Park 24, if you were watching that series at all, I had to stop because I messed up a couple videos around the trade deadline. But I actually ended up trading to get Brett Batty at the trade deadline in that game, and he was actually my star player in the second half of that season, and I was kind of excited to build around him. But I was having so much fun playing 24 that I just decided to go ahead and buy 25, and hopefully it's working out for the best. I hope this is a more enjoyable series than last year's game. I definitely know what I'm doing a little bit more since I took like about a 7-year hiatus between Out of the Park baseball series. So I'm back in the groove, having fun, being a fantasy general manager, which all us young sports fans, I'm sure, dreamed of if we didn't make it past high school sports, which I did not. I'm sure most of us didn't. O'Neal Cruz up, 2-2 count with 1 out. Grounds out, might be a double play, but it looks like instead it's another error. We got 2 men on board now. Taking advantage of those errors. I mean, the last error turned into a grand slam, so. We got Ottavino coming in relief, and another error. Bases loaded. The Mets defense is killing them in this game. Connor Joe up with 1 out. I'm going to let him hit away. And that was a mistake. Strikeout. God, Connor Joe having an awful game. And Nick Gonzalez striking out. That's rough when you take 2 strikeouts with the bases loaded and the opportunity to bring in a sacrifice run if you can. Keller's pitched 2 innings in a row, giving up a run. So we'll have to keep him on a little short leash here. He gave up a home run last time to Lee, I guess. That time strikeout. Tyrone Taylor up with a 1-2 count looking, and that is another strikeout. I think that puts him at 10. No, that's 9. Doing a terrible job of counting. Tomas Nido up, 2 outs, a 1-0 count. So he's going to make contact, but he'll just ground right out to O'Neill Cruz, and hoping we don't play as bad defense as the Mets, and we did not. So we get through it. So through 6, Mitch Keller has a weak quality start there. I'll get Honeywell going again. And I will actually get Aroldis Chapman going again, too, since I have that string of lefties coming up. But let's see if I can get myself a little cushion here. Palacios gets a leadoff single to start off the 7th. Rowdy Tellez up right after him, and that is a strikeout. Yasmani Grandal now against Michael Tonkin, who's coming in for his first look of the game. And that is a walk. Like to see that. Jared Triolo batting 4th this inning with a full count. He'll strike out. And now it is up to Edward Olivares to bring one in. And it looks like that'll just be a ground out. No more errors for the Mets. And we are at the 7th inning stretch. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Please, for the love of God, buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks if you can. I'm going to let Keller actually pitch this one out and then put Chapman in to Lindor no matter what here. Hopefully this works out for me. And it looks like it did. Marte straight ahead to Palacios out in center. And that's 1 down. And now we'll just allow Chapman to mash up on these lefties, even though Lindor is a switch hitter. This is either going to work spectacularly or blow up in my face. First batter up. Lindor grounds out to 3rd. 2 down. And here comes Brandon Nimmo. Full count. With Chapman, you're just as likely to get a walk as a strikeout. That one was a walk. Jeff McNeil up now. 1-2 count. I think this is going to be a strikeout, and it is a strikeout. So Aroldis Chapman staying true to form. I'll keep him in for the 8th, depending on how his stamina looks. Tonkin pitching to O'Neill Cruz here, and Cruz will strike out. So Cruz has had a very feast or famine day for us. McCutchen grounds out over to 3rd. And last but not least for this inning, let's see if Connor Joe can actually get something going. With an 0-2 count, it's looking like another strikeout. And it is. Is that a golden sombrero for Connor Joe? Let's take a look. Box score. Connor Joe. 4 strikeouts. Golden sombrero, young man. Golden sombrero. My favorite sports term. So full count to start off the bottom of the 8th, and that is a strikeout. That should hopefully be his only right-handed batter of the inning. Just in case, we'll get Honeywell going. Batty up. And that is going to be a ground out, I hope. And it is. Tellez makes the easy play over at first. And Pete Alonso coming in as a pinch hitter. Yeah, we'll just pitch to him. It's fine. We have a 2-run lead, so that turns into a walk. Tyrone Taylor up next. And Aroldis Chapman with another walk, and now I'm getting a little concerned. We're going to just go ahead and put Honeywell in and cross our fingers. Pitch away. That is a hit right to short. Cruz should be able to get him. Gets the out up at second. Honeywell gets through it. And now we're going to get our closer, David Bednar, going. And let's see if we can get a little bit of padding here in the top of the ninth. Nick Gonzalez to start the inning out and strikeout number 1. I think this is going to be strikeout number 2 here to Palacios, but I lied. That is an opposite field single, and we are going to try to steal a base. And we got him. Especially against those deep relievers, sometimes you have a much better chance. They're pretty bad at holding guys. Unfortunately, Tellez strikes out looking. Grandal, let's see what he can do. I think this is going to be a walk. It is actually not a walk. It is down the line, and that's going to fall in. So that stolen base possibly turned into a run. But at the very least, we do cushion our lead by an extra one. 3-run lead now. Jared Triolo goes down swinging. But we've done what we came here to do. We've given David Bednar an extra out to play with. Let's put him in. Let's hopefully put away the New York Mets in the first game of the series. Marte goes down swinging for the first at bat of the game. Bednar struck out 4 and 5 1/3 so far this season. And that looks like that's going to be at least a single, possibly a double. Last time Lindor hit over it there, it was a double. Brandon Nimmo up. 2-1 count. Hits it right to second base. Could be a double play. At the very least, it's 1, and it is just 1. And here we go. Entire game on the line for Jeff McNeil. Full count coming up. And that is strike 3. David Bednar gets the save, and the Pittsburgh Pirates win another one. And we have a 4-hit game for someone. I think that was for Palacios, actually. And we got a achievement for hitting a grand slam. And I was right, 4 hits for Palacios. I think Mitch Keller might get the player of the game, or O'Neal Cruz. It's actually Francisco Lindor, of all people. So that's funny. I mean, he was 4 for 5 with a home run. So there you go. But better game for us altogether. Even when the Mets were in the lead, it wasn't that secure of a lead. And we did good. So another game that we play that works out better than the ones that we sim. We'll sim these next few games here and see how things go there. All right, so this next game will be against Sean Manaya, and that'll be, I think, the Eric Lauer play. Actually, we're going to go to Martin Perez here. And I'll finish today there. And a great performance for Martin Perez, or at least a better performance than Manaya. Ladinsky came in, gave up 2. No hold there. Perez pitched 6 2/3, which is great. McCutcheon got himself a steal. Palacios with a home run. So Palacios is coming, getting the call up and looking real hot. That's back-to-back 4-hit games for him, and he had 5 RBIs. So 5 of our 10 RBIs, or actually 5 of our 9 RBIs, because one of those runs was unearned or not batted in. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to go through the game log or something. But Josh Palacios in his second game is the player of the game, and we have officially won this series against the Mets. We'll sim ahead one more day, and this is going to be Severino, I think, against Lauer in our weird relief starter situation. Barucki starts, Lauer comes in, and Lauer loses, and I think this might be the end of the Eric Lauer experiment for us. If you look at his game log here, it started with an okay performance in game 1 and has been all downhill since. So look at that. I actually lied. It wasn't even good in game 1. He's only had 1 good game. That was against Washington. In his second start, he's given up over 3 runs in every other performance, and he's not even made it 6 innings with the exception of that one game against Washington. We might give him 1 more chance, but he was already a fringe guy to begin with. Hitting-wise, Rowdy Tellez hit his 5th home run. Everyone did good at the plate, or just pitching could not hold up, apparently, and we just did not get key runs when we needed to. I guess I would have loved to have played that game back. I'm actually going to simulate through this Boston series, too, and then we'll start off the next series against Milwaukee and get our divisional games going. And then I'll probably play one of those San Francisco games too, because I like to see what Pac Bell Park looks like. Or I guess what's it called? That Oracle Park. I'm going to name it every name in the game. If you haven't guessed yet, I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area, so I I know a little bit more about that park than I guess the average bear, but I love PNC Park too. I chose the Pirates for a reason. Let me put it that way. I wouldn't have done a series with the Giants. Let's go ahead and simulate through this Boston series. See how we do there. So we start with a loss. Pavetta gets the win over Marco Gonzalez. Doesn't look like it's terrible. We just couldn't get any hitting going. Palacios breaks his 4-game hitting streak, I guess. Or 4-hit hitting streak. Bello, another loss, and that was a close one too. So that's going to be a little tougher to swallow for me. Ortiz, not a particularly good game. The relief pitching does well. I think we might even be interested in moving Bailey Falter to a starting pitcher role here. Let me go check out my pitching staff really quickly. I'm just going through all the wrong menus here for some reason. So if I look at my pitching staff here, Luis Ortiz has been terrible. Martin Perez has been not very good. Eric Lauer has been terrible. Bailey Falter, though, has been the best part of our bullpen. And I think in AAA, did we have anyone looking good? No, we didn't. Cam Aldred, I guess, is so-so. I wouldn't want to call him up quite yet. I'd lean more towards calling Skeens up if I had the opportunity to. He pitched his 3rd game and actually gave up his first earned run of the year. Let me go ahead and look at his game log just to see how things are going. So 6 2/3 in that one. 6 strikeout performance again for him. Just 1 earned, even though 3 total, and that was a loss. Let's see how Jared Jones is doing. Pitching stats, game log. So he had his worst performance of the year, but it was a win. 11 strikeouts. Wow. So Jared Jones and then Quinn Priester is the last guy I want to look at here. I don't think he's ready. I don't think he's anywhere near ready, actually. He's not looking good at all. He might be a call down, honestly. Let's go ahead and look at our 8+ guys really fast just to see if anything's going better for them. It does not look like anything's improved at all for anyone, which is disappointing. I guess I'll pay more attention to this bug about the minor league guys doing particularly terrible here. We're going to simulate this last game against Garrett Whitlock. It'll be Mitch Keller pitching against Whitlock, and then again we'll pick up with our game against Milwaukee in our next episode. So let's go ahead and finish today, and then we got swept. And Brent Honeywell is going to be injured for about 4 days. Mitch Keller came in, and Mitch Keller did not very well. Not terrible, but 5 1/3 gives up 4. The bullpen does okay. We damaged Whitlock, but it looks like we just couldn't do anything past him. A home run for Yasmani Grandal. Not a bunch of hitting in the middle of our lineup, unfortunately, though. So that's a tough one. We'll really quickly take a look at our division. So we're right in the middle here, kind of fighting with everyone. Milwaukee is in 2nd place now. They just took a loss, and it looks like they probably took the loss to Chicago there after they took a couple games. We're on a big skid, but we're doing better than Cincinnati and St. Louis. So right now, that's, I guess, the best we can hope for. Again, I hope you're enjoying this series. Leave some comments to let me know if there's anything you would like to specifically see more of or less of in this series. And as always, go Bucks!